Okay, thanks. Good evening. Good morning. Is this on? I think it's on. So we are actually working. Hey, good to see you. Jason, good to see you. So we're working on getting the PowerPoint up. I have a urgent message from Jose. So I don't know when this happened. He doesn't know when it happened, but he has a green extension cord that he uses in the Hispanic ministry. It runs, all their equipment, the PowerPoint, all that kind of stuff. And it's missing out of OC room 7. And I don't know if we ended up using it yesterday and it just got put up with stuff, but if you know anything about a green extension cord out of OC7, he's like, please return it. I have to use it anyway, it's his extension cord. He can use it back. So this is our Athens report. And one of the things that I want to do is let you know a little bit of the history of how this mission trip came about. And so, you know what? I left the clicker. Brady, would you go get the clicker? If you would hit the next slide, Robert, for me. So our history with Ukrainian missions goes back all the way to 1997. In 1997, a team of 7 of us went into Hartsisk, Ukraine. We did a lot of classes. We didn't know it. We didn't know we were going to be doing kid classes, but after we got there, they're like, hey, we need kid classes, and they all looked at me, and I'm like, okay. I had prepared adult stuff, but we can do this. And so we did a mission campaign in Hartsisk. From there, we got asked to go to Avdiivka, Ukraine, and start a church there. So in November of 97, Rich Dolan and I went for a month. We went for a month. Yeah. At least nobody went safe. Okay, yeah. We're in the playoffs and I didn't have an error. That's good. We started a church in Avdiivka in November of 97. In March of 98, we had a team of my dad and mom and James Wooten and his wife Lori went to Avdiivka. They taught adult classes, they did some kid classes, and right before they ended, the militia showed up and said, you can't do this, you're not registered, you need to shut down. So that was a little scary. So between then and when we went with a team of 7 in that summer, the church was supposed to have gotten registered. And so when we got there in the summer, the church hadn't registered. So we're like, we can't work in Avdiivka legally. So what we did is we found a church across the big highway in Yasnovatia, and they come here. And that church, Yasnovatia, the picture in the very middle at the bottom, he's the preacher there. His name is Lonya or Leonid, and he was the preacher there. He's a doctor. His wife is a doctor. They had a medical clinic there. We had no connections with that church except for they said, hey, why don't you come here? They were supported by a Church of Christ in Arkansas. We had really not had any connection with them. We're like, yeah, we can do our stuff here until Avdiivka gets registered. So Nathan Bell worked really hard. The church got registered. So then we went to Avdiivka, but Yasnovatia church said, hey, you're leaving us. So we ended up splitting our team and did half in Yasnovatia, half in Avdiivka, and ever since, we always went back to Yasnovatia to do some mission work. And we're not the overseeing church. That church in Arkansas is. We just did a whole lot of help. So starting in 1998, we've had this connection to Yasnovatia where Lonya was the preacher. So you can see some pictures there of our early Ukrainian missions. The crazy thing is, you're going to see Travis Blevins, you're going to see members of the church, you're going to see we had the kid classes, sometimes at the church. That's the picture on the upper left. You're going to see the upper right picture is when we did classes at a school. We rented a school to do classes there. We had tons of kids. We did adult classes. And the crazy thing is, as I was looking through my pictures, the bottom right picture, the girl with the sunglasses on is one of our interpreters, Lyra. And the girl she's hugging And I was like, what? That is my son's wife's mom. Okay, and you know my son's wife is Masha. She's Ukrainian. She's from Gorlovka. And that is the preacher's wife from Gorlovka, and I had no clue that she had come out and helped in Yasnovatia, because that's even before I knew Masha or, Addison had even gone to Ukraine. This was just, the next slide is just, you can see that Tim Piles was in Ukraine one time, more than once I think, but that's a trip that you and I got to be there. You can also see in the bottom picture right under Tim, the two ladies there, the one on the far left is actually Lonya's wife, Lena. So she's the preacher's wife from Yasnovatia. And then just to give you a little bit of us doing VBS at Yasnovatia, I have a little video there. You can turn the sound on if you would. All right, yeah, we were singing, there's the Sea of Galilee, if you didn't catch that. And you probably saw Tim Walton in that picture, and you can't see Erin McCullen. I think you can see her hair. Is Erin in here? No, I don't see her. One last picture there. Well, I'll do this. This is us doing the same thing in a Ukrainian city called Shaptorsk. You recognize the song? If you've come to our VBS, this is a song we used to sing with the kids. If you love Jesus. All right, we'll move on. This is, I think, the last picture I'll show there. You're going to see Emma. She was there, and you're going to see Holly and I teaching that class with the long table. You're going to see Gorlovka. We taught kid classes outside, so you see that at the bottom left. You see in the middle. I think you see Holly in that middle picture with the colored, whatever that was. Yeah, you had to have dresses, so you couldn't just walk into where we were going. And then Emily, I think that's you. Do you recognize yourself? And then some interpreters. And then that last picture on the right, I had to put that in. That is a piece of playground equipment at the school in Yasnovatia, and I literally call it the teeter-totter of death. And that is in the red at the bottom. That's Ed Renty, if you remember him. He was on that trip. And I have a picture of him going up on that, and he is like straight out, and I'm like, please don't let go. And can you imagine? That's at their school. Isn't that crazy? So that's part of our history. So the way Athens came about, when Russia invaded, when it wasn't Russia, back in 2014, they took over Yasnovatia, and they didn't go across the big highway to get to Avdiivka. They took over Yasnovatia. So at that time, Dr. Lonya and his wife fled the country, and they went to Greece. So in 2014, they went to Greece and actually became a part of the church in Greece and started doing ministry work. Dr. Lonya's wife went ahead and got her doctor credentials in Athens, in Greece, so she's a practicing physician there. But Dr. Lonya decided not to get his credentials for medical practice in Greece. His whole heart, and he's pouring out for refugees. So he has become a part of what's called Hellenic Ministries, and he runs that. And it's for refugees of any nation, and we'll talk more about that later. But he emailed me last year, and he said, "Hey, brother, are you going to be at the Harding Lectureship? Because for the first time ever, I'm getting to come to the U.S., and I'm going to be there." And I said, "Well, I am now. I'm going now." And so I showed up there, and we hung out at the Harding Lectures, and it was great. And we were walking around, and he goes, "Hey, why don't you guys come to Athens, Greece, and do for Ukrainian refugee kids what y'all used to do in Yasnovatia?" And I went, "That would be awesome." And so that was the beginning thought of this. And of course, we had to approach the missions committee to make that happen. Introducing our team, of course, on the front row, that's myself. That's Macy Vantile. That's my daughter, so it's hard to call her Vantile because it's supposed to be Macy Keel, but she's been married over 2 years, and I need to use her real last name now. Dr. Lonya is beside me. Federer is beside him. The next row on the right behind me is Olivia Thomas. She grew up at this church. She's in the military, and she just called me one day here and said, "Hey, can I meet you guys in Athens and be a part of this?" And I said, "Sure." And I kind of had that listening ear, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Matt Dang is my boyfriend." It's like, should I have said that, Matt? Anyway, she was a great help. So she on her own nickel, she flew in from Africa where she's stationed in the military and became part of it. And it's great because, she grew up at our church. Then you have Matt standing right beside her. Then you have Holly, and then you have Nastya, which is Federer's wife. And if you go on the back row, back above Olivia, you're going to have Dr. Lonya's wife, Lena. Then you're going to have Luba barely with her eyes showing. And then you're going to have Lily and Lincoln, and then Brady at the very end. And that was our mission team there. I do want to tell you about Dino Russo is the preacher at the Glyphada Church of Christ in Athens. And he also owns a travel agency which helps people come in. They have people from all over the world, Christians coming in. They want to know, where do I stay? What can I do? And so he does that to help on that and does a very good cost. But he also uses that travel agency to employ Ukrainian refugees and other refugees as they need a job. And so Tatiana was our person, that we connected with there that helped us get the place to stay, that helped us get transportation, and also helped us being able to see some of the things we were able to do. This short video is just Dino showed up with this big, nice van. We could put all our luggage in it, and as we drove from there to our hotel, he had a microphone, and he could just tell us what all was happening and about Athens, and so he did that. This is just a little bit of that. You can't really see it very well, but you'll hear him speak just a little bit at the end.
The Persians came to Greece, the Iranians.
And then I'm going to go on to the next slide. This is still on that same van ride. And he's just got the microphone the whole time, just telling us about the country we're in and about Athens and about the church. And of course, being a minister, he kept quoting the Bible to us, which I thought was awesome and fantastic. So we arrived at our hotel. It just so happens that it was fairly close to the beach, the Aegean Sea, and so you can see that our ladies were, walking in the water, and then Brady was going to try to be the light, as we were there. Nice picture. I love that. So on the next day, after we got there on Friday, we were able to, through Dino's reservations and his transportation, we were able to go to what's called the Acropolis. The Parthenon is at the Acropolis. And so we were able to go and to see that. And one of the things that really stood out was the Parthenon's not the only thing on top of the Acropolis. I mean, you have temple after temple, and you have gigantic statues that used to be there. We have drawings of them, but it was just an amazing thing to see, because you're looking at the paganism that Paul had to speak against or worry about, if you want to put it that way. And so that's the picture you saw at the beginning. On the way down back down from the top of the Acropolis, as you look when you're coming down, I believe that's one of our pictures that I brought in. That big gigantic rock, and you can see the people on it, is called the Areopagus, and that's in Scripture. And you can see there, I don't have to turn around, I can't see it like that, but the Areopagus is the principal place where they would collect, the civic leaders would come there, they would discuss stuff, they would have philosophical arguments or debates, and that's where when Paul came to town, they heard all this stuff he was teaching, they asked him, join us at the Areopagus and tell us about this new way that you're teaching. And so he went up on top of that big rock, which is, actually it's called the Hill of Ares. That's where they get the word Areopagus, or you may hear it translated Mars Hill. And so Ares is the Greek god of war, Mars is the Roman god of war, so it's kind of the same thing, and that's a little definition of how it got its name. So here you are standing as Paul on that big rock, which now from that picture, we're standing on that rock, we went to it, and you're looking up, and if you can see that staircase coming up in the middle of that rock, That is the ancient entrance to that top rock. They don't even let you go up it anymore. They built stairs in a different way. But you're standing on it, and you can look up at the Acropolis, and you can see all this paganism right there. You can also look off to this side or look off to that side, and you can just see monument after monument of ancient paganism. It's just all there. And if you can imagine, Paul's looking around, and he says something like, I see that you guys are very religious, right? This is from Acts. And he's like, and I even saw, to the unknown God. So let me tell you about that unknown God. And so you can almost picture in your mind Paul standing on that rock. That's not Paul, that's Brady, but looking around and making that sermon. One of the differences of this mission trip is we've never taken a mission trip to some place that had like religious significance, from the Bible, which I think is pretty awesome. After we got done there, we went to Hellenic Ministries. That's Lonia in the middle there. He's dipping out ice cream. They met us with, hey, come up and sit down and have some fruit and have some refreshments. And then they showed us the entire building. It was really pretty cool. We'll talk more about what all goes on there later. They have 2 or 3 floors that's theirs. They have a floor down at the bottom that's not quite theirs, but they're going to purchase all the rest of those rooms down there. So they're going to have a good portion of this multi-story building in downtown Athens. And on the top, when you're in the gym area, it's not a gym. It's just a big floor with a stage. Isn't that a nice picture to have on the wall? The problem is that's not a picture. It's a window. That's what you see out the window. And on the top, this is the view from the top. And this is where they have graduations, they have, parties, they have weddings up there. And they do own this floor as well.
Who knew when we were looking down the street at that church?
We walked right down that street to come to, anyway, that's crazy that's just right there. All right, so the next day we went to Corinth, and that's not that far of a drive. It's like 53 miles away, and I didn't want to go into a lot of detail about Corinth, but we're standing in an amphitheater. Lincoln, I think, is the one who took this picture. He's standing on the stage. He's pointing at us underneath the tree. That tree would have been right in the seating section, so we're hanging out under the tree because it was hot. And the big mountain that you see behind us, on the very top of that is very prominent, the temple of Aphrodite. And that is a major reason to come to Corinth. It dominated the landscape. I mean, that's what you could see pretty much from anywhere. And it was a big, gigantic, the way you worship the goddess of love, as you can imagine. And you would go up there, and they had 1,000 priestesses, and it was very obviously a pagan thing. It also had, this is Corinth. We have 2 books of the Bible written to the church here. And this place right here is what you actually can read about in Scripture. Let me turn around. When it says in Acts 18, while Gallio was proconsul of Achaia, the Jews of Corinth made a united attack on Paul, and they brought him to the place of judgment. Well, that's the place of judgment. You would stand on the gravel area, and the proconsul would stand up on that ledge where you can see a couple of people up there, and that's where they would do their, judgments on whatever civil unrest or things were happening. So they brought Paul there, hoping the proconsul would just throw him in jail and do all this bad stuff to him, and he listened to their argument, and he's like, this is not even worth talking about because this is like your own religious thing. Y'all just do it. And so the Jews, they ended up beating up Sosthenes right there, where Paul was standing before the proconsul. We got to stand there, so that was impressive. And can you see the temple of Aphrodite right on top, right behind? This is the main area of Corinth. The next day was Sunday. We went to worship. This is Glyphada Church of Christ. That is Dino on the right. They had 4 worship services in 4 different languages every Sunday. Because they had enough Iranian refugees that came to Greece, that the Iranian or the Farsi language service has now moved to another place that has more room. But they still have an English service, they have a Russian service, and they have a Greek service. And so the interesting thing here, I think this is the English service, and they have a Ukrainian preacher speaking in Greek, and Dino is translating into English. So it's like, okay, what's going on? The cool thing there on the Sunday that for us was at the Russian service, Lincoln and I got to participate in that worship service, and I got to preach, and Lincoln did had prayers and things, and so we got to be a part of that service. And you can see this is the Russian language service. So even though we're speaking in English, they're translating it into Russian, and you can see the little sign or the little bulletin board off to the left. So each one of those things is the same, presentation or announcement or whatever it is, but there's 4 of them because they're in each one of the 4 languages. And they do have Farsi Christians that still come to these services here. And in fact, I think on the church staff, they have one of the men is Farsi speaking and has a podcast in Farsi about becoming a Christian to mostly Muslims. That is my part. I'm going to now ask Brady to come up, and if you'll take it from here, he's going to tell us about our Vacation Bible School and how we did.
Which one of these? Morning, church. So as you have already heard, our main goal in going to Athens was to encourage, strengthen, and love our displaced brothers and sisters who are now in Athens. The main thing we did there was host a VBS for the children who were at this church. So our first Sunday there, as Scott already talked about a little bit, we had a service which was translated for us, thankfully, because I didn't really understand. But Scott preached for us, and Lincoln also had a part in the service. So the first day of our VBS was on Monday, and our theme was the fruits of the Spirit. And so our goal throughout the week was to teach the children fruits of the Spirit and the attributes of that. So the funny thing is we planned for 40 kids, and we ended up with 83. So that's more than double than we asked for, which is more than we reckoned with, but we got it done. So the first picture up here, as you'll see, is our Bible class, which was led by Holly Parker, Luba, and Macy. So right off the bat, the Bible class team was facing a few issues that they didn't think they would have to face because since the kids had been displaced from their home for about 2 to 3 years, there were some behavioral issues, and it was hard for them to focus in a classroom environment. So right off the bat, they were having to think of ways to combat this. So to combat this, they grabbed another teacher, Macy, and they tackled those challenges head on. For the youngest group, they taught the fruits of the Spirit through songs and games, which, just like here, obviously helps them to learn the fruits of the Spirit. They also learned the fruits of the Spirit in English. So at the end, at the family service, they were able to present the fruits of the Spirit in English to their parents, which is a really cool thing. And they also for the middle group, they learned the fruits of the Spirit in English as well, but not just with songs and games, but they also learned with Bible stories, which the younger kids may not have been able to understand. With the older group, in this picture here, you can see that while they taught in those other ways, they also taught the kids, they worked with the kids through deep conversations and trying to understand where they were at in their faith. And what our Bible class team figured out was that a lot of them didn't understand the gospel or God's plan. So at the start of the week, they went through that with them to give them a groundwork, and then they started with the fruits of the Spirit. So our crafts team was made up of Lilia Basao and some of the other Ukrainian Christian ladies that were there. And the crafts team, their main goal was to get the kids working. And why this is important is because these kids have been displaced for a very long time, and doing crafts is somewhat therapeutic for a lot of these kids to be able to get working and to get their mind off of all the troubles. A lot of troubles these kids were facing is that since they left Ukraine, a lot of their fathers and brothers, they don't know where they're at or if they're even safe. So doing these crafts is very therapeutic for many of them. The crafts also gave the kids a chance to be kids again, because leaving Ukraine so quickly, they had to become adults very quickly. And so getting into the crafts, it helped them to be able to become children again and to embrace what God has given them. So during the Bible class day, we had one rotation. So we would do a little lesson or something at the start of the day, and then we'd have our first rotation. We switched it up every day, but we would have our first rotation, and then we'd have a lunchtime, which the wonderful Ukrainian ladies provided a lunch for all the children and for ourselves, and it was very delicious. And we had a second rotation where we did all the same classes again, but slightly different topics, or maybe fleshing them out a little differently. So the games portion, I mean, this one's pretty self-explanatory. We played games with the children, right? So that was made up of Lincoln, Matt, myself, and Olivia. We took the kids to, as you can see in this picture, we left the church and we took them to a very nice park that I believe the city of Elenico had just built. It was amazing, an amazing park. Let's see. Here's another picture of that. The whole park was turf, which was great. They had a soccer field in there, playground. And so mainly what we were doing was focusing on team building games to get these kids bonding with each other and bonding with us. And so with the younger kids, it was kind of hard to play games with them, or like organize games, of course, because the yellow group is like, I want to say like 5 to like 8 years old or something like that. So we kind of just, after stressing that they kept running into the road, we basically just, since the playground was fenced in, we were just like, all right, let's just leave them there and let them be and get their energy out. So didn't really play games with them, just let them be and get their energy out by themselves. With the blue group, it was a little easier because this is kind of middle school, late elementary age kids. And we had some organized games with them in which they really liked these games a lot. And let's see, I believe I have a video of one of those. Yeah, here's the video. Could you play that, Robert? I can get it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so here's one of the games. They had a lot of fun with them. Very competitive kids. You'll hear at the end. Yeah, so the kids, very competitive. They loved the games, and I think the team building really helped. As you can see, they had a ping pong table in there, and yeah, that park was really nice, even for American standards. So with the older kids, while we did do some team building games, during the day it would get really hot, and so the older kids were inclined to not want to play games and get all sweaty during the middle of the day when it's like 90s or 100 outside. So instead, with Lincoln, we translated, and we had some deep conversations with them just about how life was in Greece and how moving to Greece was. So yeah. So as Scott alluded to earlier, the Hellenic Ministries, which Dr. Lonia heads, we went there on Friday, so we had our VBS from Monday to Wednesday, I believe, right? Monday to Wednesday? Thursday? Monday to Thursday, and on Friday, we went to Hellenic Ministries. Scott and Holly taught at Hellenic Ministries. But the whole goal of Hellenic Ministries is to help refugees get back on their feet. So as you can see in that picture on the right of me, there are bags of food in which the Hellenic Ministries gives to refugees of all nationalities. Scott taught a men's class there, and Holly taught a ladies' class. And it's funny because Matt and Macy and I came there thinking like, we're not gonna have a lot to do here, but right when we got there, we were like, maybe we can do something. And at that moment, Dr. Lonia was like, can you take care of the kids this afternoon? And we're like, yeah. And so that's what we did for the rest of the afternoon. It was really great because after the VBS, the kids didn't think they would see us again, and a lot of them didn't see us again, but there were some kids whose parents were at the Hellenic Ministries, and so when they saw us again, their faces just lit up, and they're like in awe that they were seeing us again and that we weren't back in America already. So that was really cool. Here's some pictures from Hellenic Ministries, just the bonds that were created there. Lastly is just after our VBS, we did awards every day. And so the guy on the left there with Macy is Misha, who is Lonia's son. He was translating for Macy. We had different translators throughout, but Misha kind of moved around and translated a lot for different people. But anyway, the awards section, we basically picked somebody from each group, one of the kids from each group. So we had yellow, blue, and purple in that order of age. And we picked one of the kids from each group who showed outstanding behavior or maturity, or they were kind to somebody. And so we picked one of those kids to receive a gift from America, something that we bought here, something special to remember us by. And so that's what we were doing each evening after VBS had ended. And so there's another picture from the awards. And so, yeah, can you mute this, Robert? Yeah, so I'm just going to leave this video playing while I wrap up. It's a pretty funny video. But this trip was great. The members of the church were very kind. The last night we were there, we got to go we split into groups, and the people of the church took us into their homes. They fed us. They gave us a bed to sleep in. And it gave us time to bond with them on a deeper level. And so we created a lot of good bond. Yeah. So let me just explain this video first. They're eating sour candy, like extremely sour candy. And so, yeah, this just shows you more of how the bonds that were created between us. I mean, this kid is like waving to them, which is cool, like, because I believe this is the last day. So this is the last day that we're going to see them, and they're just ecstatic. And they were sad as well to see us leaving. So, but that's it for my portion. Thank you for sending us to Greece.
Good morning. I don't know how to work this, but it's okay. I'll figure it out. Cool. That's how you work it. So I am going to be talking about the impacts on this trip. Like Brady explained, we had different portions that really, we'll use impact, did these groups in different ways. We first started off with Bible class, and that was really good because we tried to give the information that's common to us as like people of the church, but not so common to these kids. Me and Brady got the opportunity to walk around one night, kind of trying to figure out the people there, because these kids were walking around same time every day, walking up and down a street, And we were like, what's up with that? And we finally got to, how do we say? We kind of just randomly approached these people and got to know like what their religion was really about. They are in Greece. It's mainly Greek Orthodox, where it's just, what is it, inherit, or basically you went to church because your family went to church, or you believed because someone before you believed. And that's great and all to start off, but that doesn't improve how to grow your faith, is where I'm kind of approaching that. But with the impacts, with the little kids, they were given these little children's songs, which we don't think of as adults as impactful, but they will remember it years to come, growing up singing it. For the crafts, they were given like these bears. They made shirts. They made all these things to remember the fruits of the Spirit, and also take their minds away from everything that's happening. For the games, it was really, like Brady said, bonding was a big deal, getting their energy out, because they were stuck in a building for at least 4 hours of that day and more because of lunch and all these other things. And if you are a kid, you're not wanting to sit still for 4 hours. But we also got to really connect with these kids. No matter the age, no matter where they came from, they were really just, I don't know, they were forced to be there, but they were given the opportunity to grow, and they took it. So we were able to talk to a bunch of them. This is the high school group. This is the high school group where Brady explained, where we got to really see where their brain was at with all of this change going on in their lives. And if you've ever talked to kids or high schoolers, you don't know you made an impact until after. So it was really cool seeing that. Here is us, or I don't remember where this is at. I'm pretty sure this is when we were going to the or they were going to the restaurant on the left, and that's the buildings, Brady and Misha. And then this is Holly and Olivia, and one of the volunteers, I want to say, with one of the kids, and they were just grateful for us being there. This whole mission trip allowed us to really connect with people from around the world that we wouldn't have had a chance to before. All come from different backgrounds, different change, and it was really impactful. This is us with, or this is Holly and Scott with some of the kids. That is Dasha with Holly on the left. That is Daria with in the middle, and then I can't remember his name. Oleg with Scott on the right. We got to meet Oleg Sunday at the Hellenic Ministries, and we don't have the game, but we had a rock, paper, scissors game where if you lost, you got slapped. Yeah, it was just really impactful to connect with these kids on a deeper level rather than approaching them with the Bible as like adults. Like, we got to connect with them further than that. Past that. Yeah. This is us sharing a meal together with Fedia and his family, and then us, believe this is Friday after Hellenic? Oh, okay. This was Sunday then, Sunday in the evening after church. And it was just nice fellowshipping with people we knew in Ukraine to a new location and fellowshipping with them there. And this is where Lincoln is ready, where we talk about their family.
Once again, good morning, church. It's been a big pleasure for us be able to go on that trip. First of all, because it's been an opportunity for the whole church to one more time remember what we have been able to do many years ago. Thank you once again to Brother Scott by bringing back all that emotion, all the things that we have been able to do during those years. And as we have been with those kids, on that time there, we had privilege to been in contact with some families. We have been able to speak with the parents. We have been able to speak with mostly the wives and their kids together. And that helped us so that we may be able to build that kind of little connection that will stay for long. A very big connection here. You see Dr. Lona here with the kids. That was the last day when we were speaking with them. And we were every day able to receive from those parents and also able to give to them, give them Jesus Christ, because most of them have been far from the Lord. And we use different places, different stuff. And you see, for example, the gentleman who is there, he wasn't Christian, but he came in and he has been helping us during that time. We had privilege to speak with them, with his family, and he had been baptized. After us, we will come back on that. So we had privilege to do many things. And that brings us up on the, maybe try to go very fastly, on the follow-up of what we had to do. The follow-up, because, you know, it's good to go, but it's also good to follow what you have been doing. It's good to know that the work that you did, you will be able to continue all the time, even after you. And the following week, that's why the following week after the VBS, the Ukrainian Church of Christ there have been able to organize a family camp. And during that family camp, many parents of the kids that took part in the VBS have been invited, and many of them have been baptized. And praise be to the Lord, 9 new souls have been able to come inside the kingdom of God on that week. That is it amazing? And especially that we have been there, some couple of people have been even directly involved for the transformation of one sister that gave her life to Jesus Christ on that time. So we have been just super blessed, and it was amazing. That was their presentation inside the church. As it has been said to us that we prepare, we thought that we have 40, but we received 83 children. There it was very difficult. It was good to make that VBS. It was good to have 80 kids. But what next? What do with that? Do they have to wait just the next year to see if we will be able to come back and leave them just outside so that the devils may continue to destroy even the little soul that we put on them? I think no. That is one of our main goals in the mission committee, so that we may have that specific follow-up. And that specific follow-up helps us so that the work that has been started may continue. That is why, because you saw the kids that have been before, that they have been presented to us, most of them were already older, but they need to continue. So this family there, we asked them, we spoke with them, and they will start something for the youth that didn't exist there, so that may be continue. And to finish, I will just say, praise be to the Lord for everything, because we don't have time. I prepared a short video, because there we see her. We went not only in Greece, but we went also in Netherlands, where we have been able to see our brother Sasha Nikolenko with his family, be able to see the work that he has been able to do there, how so hard he's working with something that in the new place, start a new ministry, work with children, work with adult people. And there also we have the report about Slava. Slava, we know her health problem, but God is in control. And even after us, she had 2 more surgery after us. And can you do that, please, brother? It's possible to show Sasha for a short minute, and we finish with that. Brother Rob, is it possible? Yes. I know many of you miss them.
Good morning, dear church.
Hi everyone, we just wanted to give you a quick update on our life and ministry in the Netherlands.
And first of all, we wanted to say a big thank you for being there for us all these years and in all our projects and in all our challenges. We've changed several cities and already countries, but you continue to support our family, our work, and it's a huge blessing. We felt loved and cared by God and by you, so thank you very much. We've been living here in the Netherlands since 2022, and we didn't plan to stay here for long, but here we are. And while we are here, we continue to find ways for ministry and for church growth. And so we started to work with the youth and with kids again here, and we organized youth clubs and clubs for kids. And through that, we can communicate with parents and to share with them, God's love and church. And so we are also able to organize some day camps, and it's been a huge blessing for us and for teenagers and for everyone. Already 10 day camps we organized during this time. And again, thank you for your support in this. And every camp is bringing us new people, new teenagers, and it's also good. So every year, more and more people who are staying here, they know about this ministry and about us. So it's been a blessing for us. We also started a Ukrainian church worship services a year and a half, and we had another family who helped us with this, and we have quite a good group of Christians, but then because of some challenges and because of housing challenges and cost of living here, those people moved, and we have much less a group right now. And yeah, there have been another challenges with Slava's health, as you know, and I will let Nastya share some with this.
Yes, thank you for keeping us in your prayers, and thank you for sharing all these encouragement words with us. It's been very helpful. It helped us to keep our heads above the water, and thanks God. Last couple weeks she was feeling better, and we hope it will continue to improve with her health. And of course, we are still worried about her scar tissues and long-term how it will affect her life and her health. And we ask you to please keep praying for her, so that she can have a free life, free from pain and hospital stays. And overall, she's a happy child. She's a sweetheart, loves her family, and loves her school. And another challenging thing is lack of stability, and we shared with all the Ukrainians who are in the same situation as us, and because of that, it's hard to plan long term, and because of that, we lost many people. What I mean is that they had to move to other cities or to other countries, and it of course it affects the ministry, because we had some good partners who helped us organizing youth events, and the church also. And but at the same time, some people left and some people came, and we still have some some help with ministry. So
Yes, and even though there was challenges, it's always challenges when you try to do ministry. But we are here now, and kids are in school. We have a hospital for Slava that takes care of her, and for now we have everything we need here. And ministry changes because of those challenges, but still we want to continue to do this, to continue grow this. And again, we don't know how many more years we're gonna stay here, and we don't want to just stay in the waiting mode, but to keep do what we can do. And God will provide, and God will grow this if this will be His will. And we see already changes in youth and in us and in those people who we're working with, and so it's been a huge blessing. So we just wanted to say thank you again for your love and support, and please pray for Slava, please pray for us, for wisdom for us, and for strength, and so God will give us everything we need to go through all of this and provide everything we need. And thank you again. We love you, and we miss many of you who we know, and we hope we will have more opportunities to see each other. And
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
To conclude, I will just say to everyone here, thank you so much. Because if that had been able to happen, it's because of you. And on this special day, we just want you to continue to do what you know. Help other person to share the gospel.